Hey there, it's Helen. I am the national artist for Sephora collection, and I'm here to show you the trend to try with this beautiful model, Shakti. You can see that she is wearing the orange look, which is our trend to try. Have you ever tried something bright colors, worn anything like that before?
Never orange. It's
Really?
a new one.
It looks so good on you, and this is such an amazing trend because it really looks good on any skin tone. So let's jump right in and I'll walk you through the steps. Okay, so I have already prepped Shakti here with a little bit of eyeshadow primer. It's our Sephora Collection Beauty Amplifier eyeshadow primer. I put it all over her lid as well as a little bit underneath just to prevent creasing and really make the eyeshadow last a lot longer. And we are going to start with the I Love palette in Jewel Tones. I love this palette because it has so many different color combinations that you can do. Today we're going to focus on orange because that is the new trend for autumn. And starting out, I'm going to use the number 19 brush. I like to use something really fluffy to start so that you're not putting too much pigment on right away. And that way you can kind of feel out where the eye shape is and how high you want to go. So starting out with the orange and a fluffy number 19 brush, I'm just going to lightly dust this on the crease. This will help for blending later, and it also just helps to assess where the eye crease is, how high you want to go with the makeup. You don't want to get too high and too dark, especially when you're having a brighter color. Here I'm really just pressing it into her crease and then bringing it mid-lid. This will really help with the blend again. So just making sure that this is really blended already so you get a nice soft effect. And then also that way the deeper tones won't stick to one place. And I'm actually going to dust a tiny bit underneath of her lid, or underneath her eye here. So look up for me. And just taking a little bit under. And a little under here as well. And again, we'll intensify with a bit of brighter orange. Oranges are really great because they look good on everyone. They bring out everyone's eye tone. It looks amazing on Shakti because she has the deeper skin tone, but it would also look good on someone who's a little bit more fair. So next I want to intensify the look, and I'm going to use this Rust shade. It is really going to look beautiful on Shakti. So what I like to do, since it's a deeper shade, is press it on and kind of tap along the way. So really just pressing. I'll add more pigment as I go. I only load one side of the brush, as you can see, and that really does help to prevent fallout. You can always tap any excess off too before you go in to the eye. So this brush is also flat, and it also is very dense. It's called the Pro Packing brush. It's the number 13. It is amazing for any sort of like deeper tone shadow, even something that has like a shimmer to it where you don't want fallout at all. This really helps with it. I love to use it with matte tones and anything that's super glittery. Just to intensify right at the lash line, I'm going to use the edge of this brush and pull up and out, and this will give a lifted effect while also giving that intensity right at the lash line. And you always want to go in sort of an upward motion with your eyeshadow to give it that lifted look. Let's go ahead to the other side here, and then I'll show you how I blend the two colors. Just using a pressing motion to make sure I don't get any fallout, really getting a lot of pigment and eyeshadow on there. I find that one of the biggest challenges that people have when they do eyeshadow looks is that they can't blend, and usually that's because they're not using enough eyeshadow, so there's actually not any pigment there to blend. So when they start to blend, they get little like patches or streaks in their eyeshadow, and that's really just because there's not enough there to blend it out. Shakti and I were just talking about how orange is really a color that you don't think of necessarily to try, but I encourage you to try it because it looks amazing on you. And I just feel like this is one of those shades that, yeah, it just looks really good. And, you know, not just a deeper skin tone can wear it. It can be truly like someone as fair as me. I've worn this before and it looks amazing. So it really does bring out your eyes. Now I'm going to add a little bit of intensity. Really what I want to do is blend the two colors to create a softer effect between the crease and the bright shadow. So I'm going back with the number 19 brush, really loading it up on that lighter tone, orange, and then dipping it into the rest as well. So you kind of create this mid-tone, and that way I can just dust that over that mid-upper part of the lid to get that sort of ombre effect that looks really good. It's blending without having to blend too much. It's how I cheat a little bit. So you can even see here, you have that ombre effect, and this one it's a little bit more harsh. You can see the line where I stopped applying the rust color. So now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side. You want to use a lot more of the light shade and then just lightly dip it into the rust tone and go right over that mid lid. Going back with my number 13, I'm going to intensify under her eye. So really, I like to always put a little bit of the color underneath the eye. This will help to marry the look, or I guess really it's to take the lid and the lower lash line and make them look like one. So it's not just an upper eye look. Okay, so since this is a trend and something great for autumn, I want to ground the look. This is really great as like a daytime summer spring look, but to really ground it, we need a liner, something a little deeper right along the lash line to intensify and really bring out her eye. So I'm going to use the Sephora Collection Hotline Brush Tip Eyeliner, and this is an amazing liquid liner because it is a brush, so it applies a really beautiful fine line. So my biggest trick with liquid liner is to really just press it right against those lashes. That will help give you maximum control and a really nice thin line. And I'm not giving her a cat eye because I don't think it's necessary for this look. With the wash and everything, you don't need something so extreme. You really want to focus still on the beautiful orange colors and just pushing against the lash line. Another trick you can do if you really have kind of an unsteady hand is you can do kind of like golf swings where you practice a couple times before you commit. That really helps with your muscle memory and also to breathe out as you're doing it really helps. So what I also love about this liner is it's really intensely black, so you don't need to go over it again and again to make sure that you have the intensity. It's already there. I feel like the most frustrating thing with liquid liner is when it's not the exact black that you want it to be because you already made that perfect line and then you have to go back over it and it's like, oh, please make it the same. You'll get that wavy line. So this is just an easy one pass liner. Okay, so next I'm going to use the Sephora Collection Lashcraft Curler. I'm a huge believer in curling lashes. I think it gives just a lifted look to the eye. It really completes the look overall before you put mascara on. And I do 3 little pumps on the lashes. It helps to just give them that extra curl. And 1, 2, 3 pumps. And that'll help to like really just set the curl, make it so it has a good hold. So to seal that curl, I'm going to use the Lashcraft Have It All mascara. Have It All really just means length, volume, definition. It's a really great mascara that has a really awesome brush too. It has a unique shape. It's kind of like a whale shape to me. But anyway, it's really like has kind of an arc to it. So it really helps you to push the lashes up. So look down for me. And this is actually a good trick. You can even do this at home if you ever get the problem where you've done a beautiful blend and you get a little black mark on your lid. You can actually put your thumb or your finger there to protect, to make sure you don't get mascara on your beautiful eyeshadow that you just blended. So look down for me. Perfect. It'll also help you if you're like a super blinky person. You can hold the lid in place. That really applies for when I'm applying to other people, but when you do it at home, it certainly does help. And I like to wiggle and pull. So really loading up the base of the lash with a lot of product and then pulling it through the rest of the lashes to get that definition. So I don't like to do one whole side of mascara and then the other side. I actually like to let the tops dry. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to this top lash. And again, wiggling at the base. So now she has those lashes. I always make sure I get that inner corner too of lash so it really looks like a fanned effect. So next I'm going in with the bottom lashes and I'm just wiggling and pulling through. She has amazing bottom lashes, so jealous. It looks amazing. And I feel like the lower lashes, sometimes when you do them on yourself, that's the hardest part. They get a little clumpy. Just the slower you go, the better your lashes are going to look, and that even goes for like the top part. So the slower you pull through, the longer they'll look, the more built up they look as far as volume goes. So just take your time and really paint the bottom. And the more you focus on the center part of the lash on each side, the rounder your eye will look. So if you have longer lashes in the center, it really makes your eyes look a little bit more round and open. Beautiful. Okay, so to further enhance her eyes, I'm going to use the Sephora collection False Lashes in Astonish. I love these lashes because I feel like they look the most like a natural lash, and you can really enhance the volume of them by putting more mascara on. So I have already trimmed them to her eye shape, and I'm now applying just a bit of glue to the edges of them. Really getting on just a thin line of glue. And if you have a stiffer, lash that you're using, something that's a little thicker that you like, I always recommend doing a little like wiggle up and down, and that's really to help break in that strip. And then apply it just right against the lashes. It also helps when you do that rounding effect. Look down for me. Perfect. When you do that rounding effect, it sometimes helps when you're applying it on yourself, because then you can just kind of get that corner on first and then smooth it out across your lash line, which I think is way easier than trying to like place it on just perfectly in the middle and then push it down. But I always try to squeeze the lashes together, so your false lash and your real lash, just squeeze them down. That'll really help it to hug the lash line so they look almost undetectable. Kind of doing that caterpillar motion back and forth there. And I always like to stick the inner corner in first. That way I know, how far in to go. I feel like the one thing about false lashes is that they get a little bit uncomfortable in that inner corner. So if you can avoid that, that's best. So look down for me as opposed to closing. Perfect. Sometimes, too, it helps a lot to look down when you're applying your lashes as opposed to closing. When you close your eye, naturally everybody gets like a little bit of texture right across that lash line and lid. And it makes it so the lashes, when they stick and they dry, that kind of creasing sticks. And it's not the most flattering, but it also doesn't feel great. So I think that sometimes people don't care for false lashes because they can feel like their skin sticking together. And it's just because you haven't looked down to tighten your lid across your eye. Those look amazing on you. That's so good. So to complete the look, we're going to do cheek and lip. So this is a monochromatic autumn orange effect or orange look. So what I really want to do is create something that is not too orange. I picked a color. This is the Sephora collection Colorful Blush, and it's in Heated. This color, it's like a peachy pink, we'll say. So it definitely falls under those oranger peach tones, but it's not super peach. It's not going to look too like orange. You want to avoid that for sure. But I'm going to go in. This one has a little bit of glitter to it, which I love actually, because we have mattes on the eyes. So why not add a little bit of fun with some glitter on the cheek? So it's not an intense glitter. It's super shimmery, beautiful, and soft. Just going in with the number 98 brush. I love the number 98 brush, especially when you have more of a petite face. It really just helps with the placement of it, and you have a little bit of a glitter finish here, so you don't want it to get everywhere. Sometimes I love a really big brush to get that wash of color, but in this instance, we really want to keep it controlled. And again, only loading one side of the brush. I never go back and forth with my brush unless it's like a setting powder or something I really want everywhere. This is just something that helps with control, helps with fallout, gets the placement and the opacity that you want. And I like the intensity to be not quite on top of her apple of her cheek, but a little bit, almost just right below it. Let's get that intensity there, and then as you work it, you get the soft edges all around. And you can see it just adds like a slight sheen. It's nothing like too glittery. The finish just adds like that extra little pop to the skin, which I like. Okay, so finishing off the look with a lip. So this is the Sephora Collection Rouge Lager. It's my absolute favorite as far as formula goes. It has a beautiful pigment and has a little bit of shine to it, which is amazing. And this color is in Visionary. It has that rusty tone to it, but again, it still leans a little bit more like red pink. So it's gonna be super flattering with the autumnal oranges on her lids. And it's a little deeper than the cheek tone, so it's really gonna just help to marry everything together. I love this color because it makes it so you still have the focus on the lids, but it does add a little bit of the pop to the lid. Just really makes it so you have this nice focus right in the center there. Another trick that I have, if you ever wanna apply lipstick, is actually just twisting the top and using this little edge here, just to kind of give that lined effect without having to use a brush. It's really easy, especially if it's a new lipstick. Really works well. That looks really good and I love it. Thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you loved this trend to try, and if you want to try it on, please let us know in the comments below and be sure to subscribe, and until next time, bye.